Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka.
And hello there, I am Yatin Mota.
And Yatin, I can see that smile on your face. The market finally kept its date with that 25,000 milestone after missing it by a whisker, I think on 3 occasions, right, before this. But today's, up move comes on the back of, what happened with the Fed overnight, right? Because the Fed has hinted at a rate cut in September, and that fired up the bulls on Wall Street as well. We saw the Nasdaq and S&P 500 clocking very strong, up moves, and a rub-off effect was seen on the Indian markets as well. At open itself, we managed to clock that crucial milestone of 25,000. Not just that, we've ended the day above 25,000. Just to recap, Yatin, this is the third fastest 1,000-point rally on the Nifty. The first one being the 1,000-point surge between 16,000 to 17,000. Then from 23,000 to 24,000, that was in 23 sessions. And this 1,000-point rally has come in 24 sessions. With this 1,000-point rally and at 25,000, we are 4,000 points, up from that election day lows that we had seen on 4th of June. And if you look at the top contributors to this 1,000-point rally, names like HCLTech, Infosys and ITC feature on the top contributors list. And among the top gainers, we've seen life insurers like HDFC Life and SBI Life, as well as ONGC. These were the top gainers in this leg of the 1,000-point rally. Of course, banks were underperformers, needless to say that. But looking at today's action, Yatin, broader markets came under profit booking in the second half. We saw both the mid and small cap indices shedding somewhere around 1% or thereabouts. Realty, PSU banks, autos also as a pocket was under selling pressure. Advanced decline ratio was also in favor of losers. So the NSE advanced decline ratio was at 1:2. If you look at the individual movers, utilities continue to do well. Power Grid and NTPC were among the gainers. Coal India, after production numbers also came out yesterday, the company reported numbers as well. That stock was up. ONGC, Dr. Reddy's, some of the other gainers. On the flip side, you had M&M. Sales came out today, Yatin.
Correct.
15% more SUVs it sold in the last month, but the stock was in the red. Hero Moto among the autos in the red. Tata Steel, numbers came out, was in line, but the stock was in the red. SBI and L&T were the others that were in the red. But I think broader into the markets, I think I want to speak about Zomato because numbers came out in the dying hours of trade, but good numbers, right? 253 crore rupee profit.
Broadly in line with expectations, Nandita, and I think if you look at the numbers year on year, obviously you will see the big jump, loss versus profit. But if you look at the sequential thing, as expected in terms of the improvement. But yes, the breakdown as to how Blinkit did, which is the a fast delivery grocery app and food delivery business. How did they shape up in terms of the order value growth as well as what kind of revenues they are anticipating X of the gold program. So a lot of breakups that will require to look at. Broader markets, yes, good show coming in there. The advanced decline ratio was almost 2 advances to 3 declines, but very stock specific action. Adani Energy Solutions, remember the QIP has got concluded. Post that the stock moved 15% higher in trade, settled 12% higher. First Source Solutions, good numbers, and they have increased the guidance as well, 10% higher for that one. Philip Carbon Black, and ever since Sanjeev Goenka spoke about the profit figures becoming 5 times in 5 years, that is one stock which has moved 6% higher. Aster DM, CESC, Minda Corp, Avanti Feeds, Oil India, all of these stocks doing well in trade. What did not do well in trade is IT stocks, Sonata Software and Birla Soft. After quick Q1 numbers, both of the stocks were down. In fact, Sonata was down 10%, Birla Soft down 5%, Z down 5%, Renuka Sugars down 5%, Prince Pipes down 4%. So a lot of stocks wherein there was profit taking. But clearly, when it comes to the results reactions, a mixed bag between gainers and losers.
That's correct, Yatin. Mixed bag, but lots of stock specific actions as you were mentioning. Autos were in focus today, Yatin. As a pack, the auto pack was in the red, but sales figures were trickling in. In fact, as we were speaking, Maruti has just reported its monthly sales figures slightly below estimates, 1.75 lakh units vis-a-vis Nomura's estimates of 1.79 lakh units. So almost in line or slightly below estimates for Maruti. For Tata Motors, numbers have been weak. Total sales is down over 10%. Domestic sales is down 11%. You have CV sales also down 18%. And passenger vehicles, including EVs, is down 6% on a YOY basis. Even the total EV sales, Yatin, is down in excess of 20%. So weak numbers. M&M total sales was up just about 0.5%. Domestic passenger vehicle sales grew somewhere around 15%. Exports were down 40%, Yatin, for M&M. It was, of course, the top loser on the index today. Tractor sales, however, has seen an 8% uptick on a YOY basis. It has sold 15% more SUVs in the last month. But aside of that, if you look at the two-wheeler pack, that is doing well, better than four-wheelers. Bajaj Auto, 11% uptick in sales on a YOY basis in the last month. It has met expectations. Two-wheeler sales were also up in double digits, 11%. Domestic sales was up 18%. Three-wheeler sales up 11%. Exports, that has been a pain point for Bajaj Auto, right? That grew somewhere around 2%. Management has said that the export recovery will be a little gradual. And that's what is playing out. In fact, management was on CNBC TV 18. He's pointed out, of course, they have recently launched the CNG bikes, right? The world's first CNG bike. So that delivery of CNG bikes have started last week. The management has pointed out. The waiting time was a little on the higher side, but I think that has started shrinking a bit. Management has also said that in terms of Triumph, that is giving stiff competition, or that was rolled out in competition for competition to Eicher Motors Royal Enfield. That had a breakthrough month last month. It clocked 3,500 plus unit sales. So Bajaj Auto, good performance coming in there. In terms of Maruti, Yatin, numbers came out yesterday, and even the sales figures came out just now, 1.75 lakh units. But I believe there's a brokerage note that you want to highlight.
So, Nandita, as you were mentioning, numbers on a monthly basis are not great, because the expectation was 1.88 lakh units odd, almost 1.75 lakh units, so slightly lower there. Morgan Stanley has a buy target on the stock with a target of 15,145. Now, Maruti has delivered a strong quarter. Q1 operational performance was strong. This was largely led by better realizations in the CNG as well as their hybrid car portfolio. But yes, they've lost some market share in the SUV segment. They have been struggling in terms of keeping sales momentum in the small car segment. If you look at the small car segment, the discounting also was quite high in Q1. Obviously, as a strategy, management has said that discounting is a matter of market forces. Can't really comment on Q2, Q3 discounting, but yes, things are looking slightly slower. But the silver lining was that the CNG portfolio and the hybrid portfolio will probably compensate that slowdown in other segments, as well as exports. If you look at that segment, that has been really doing well for Maruti. So probably that is the reason why Maruti was the only stock which was in the green today versus other auto stocks. Now, CNBC in an interview to CNBC Awaz and CNBC TV 18 said that moving ahead, SUV segment will contribute significantly, nearly 52%. Moving ahead, no challenges seen in terms of margins, and obviously rural markets have been performing better than the urban markets. Another point which Maruti mentioned is that the commodity tailwind which was there in Q1 probably will not be there in Q2, but yes, because of better sales of CNG and hybrid cars, thanks to the support of the government, which has been really pushing the electric vehicles as well as CNG and the hybrid vehicles, and waiving certain road taxes and probably providing incentives. That will probably keep the momentum higher for Maruti vis-a-vis a person or a entity like Mahindra & Mahindra or Tata Motors, which have a very limited EV portfolio versus Maruti's CNG portfolio.
That's correct, Yatin. When you're talking about how rural has been outdoing urban, that has been pointed out by Maruti. Dabur, that stock is in focus given the fact that numbers came out, and here as well, rural growth came in at 9%. In the first quarter, vis-a-vis a 5.5% growth in urban. So that clearly shows that there are signs of recovery in the rural markets. And today IMD has also said that between August to September, we will be receiving above normal monsoon as well. So that bodes well for some of these rural facing companies. They're talking about Dabur's first quarter performance. It's been fairly good. Net profit has risen almost 8%, revenue 7% on a YOY basis. Volume growth has grown at 5.2%, Yatin, vis-a-vis expectations of 5 to 6%. So it's well within expected lines. So that's a good, good point for Dabur. EBITDA grew 8.5%, and margins have also come in higher at 19.6% vis-a-vis 19.3% on a YOY basis. The company has increased its rural media spends also by 50%, given the fact that they are seeing green shoots there. Management has said that it's a good start to the financial year. They have seen a sequential recovery in volume growth driven by rural markets, and they have in fact reported industry leading performance across its key verticals. And they have of course plowed their higher investments behind their brands to drive market expansion as well and sustain the growth momentum. These were the comments coming in from the management of Dabur. However, they have also pointed out that demand environment remains a little challenging given the fact that food inflation is still on the higher end and even unemployment rate is on the higher side. So that's about Dabur, Yatin. But Yatin, I want to also highlight ITC because numbers haven't really come out yet. That's the big one that we are waiting for, given the fact that it was a big winner in the budget because there's no change in taxation. Yes. Ever since budget day, the stock is up somewhere around 6% or thereabouts. Today, of course, numbers will be coming out. All eyes will be on the cigarette volumes. Profit is likely to rise in high single digits. Revenue likely to see an 8.5% uptick. FMCG, hotel segment, they are expected to perform well. Agri and paper, these are the verticals that have been under pressure and is expected to remain a drag. Cigarette revenue is expected to grow anywhere between 7 to 9% on a YY basis, and volumes for cigarettes may grow at 2 to 4% on a YY basis. Yatin, any other, anything else that you'll be watching out for tomorrow? It's a weekend, of course, but we have one more trading session to go.
Saturday, SBI will come out with numbers, and I think tomorrow, how SBI is reacting ahead of numbers, that will be important to watch out for, because so far the PSU banks have disappointed, not only in terms of deposit growth, but also in terms of profitability, because they haven't been able to really deliver the numbers that they probably delivered in FY24. Vis-a-vis the market expectations. So yes, SBI the big one to watch out for tomorrow, and also watch out for Adani Enterprises. They've announced the demerger of FMCG business, in today's results. The deal is slightly complex, so probably the decoding will happen, today evening, and expect the stock to react to this announcement tomorrow as well.
Okay, so those are the stocks that Yatin will be keeping an eye out on. And of course, the big Q was the Fed meeting and the language that Jerome Powell was expected to adopt. He has not disappointed. We've seen a good rally coming in. And if that September rate cut is at play, of course, stocks will be reacting to that as well globally. But before we, call it a day, just want to remind our viewers about the MC Pro Budget 2024 portfolio. Well, it's a portfolio where 17 stocks have been handpicked, 17 jewels have been handpicked to ride the upside of budget announcements. Fundamentally sound, reasonably valued 17 handpicked jewels that will ensure that you make good returns. These stocks will be to ride the priorities and focus areas of NDA 3.0. And the approach that has been used in selecting those 17 stocks are tried and tested bottom-up approach to stock picking. And, it's a well-diversified assortment of stocks. In fact, let me just remind you, the MC Pro Budget 2023 portfolio delivered over 100% returns since Jan 2023. And, it also managed to beat the index in terms of returns. So, subscribe to MC Pro today and get a handle on what those 17 stocks really are to ensure that you ride out the kind of announcements that were made in the budget that just concluded last week. Well then, that was about MC Pro's budget portfolio. But for now, I think we have come to the end of this edition of Closing Bell. We are ending the day on a happy note. We are heading into the weekend on a happy note. Till now, let's see, we have one more trading session to go. If we can end the week on a high, nothing like it. But for now then, it's a goodbye from me and Yatin. Have a great evening and come back and join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Opening Bell. Thanks a lot for watching. बोलो हाँ